But what's interesting is we say reflectors are slow energy types, but that's from the perspective of it being on the brink of manifestation. But the seed, the download was planted in me, the reflector, 2 or 3 years ago. If you're in your human design experiment, you probably have open centers. Those are the chakras or the centers in your body graph that are all white or white with some of the gates filled in. Now, I am a reflector. That's my human design type. And so I sort of have an expertise in open centers by the fact that it is the focal point of my experiment in human design and the experiment of this life journey. So the open centers are great gifts to us, truly. They are opportunities to grow in wisdom because we don't have any set energy resource about it or any set way of it flowing. That means we are open to all of the universal strategies. So you would say that the open centers are open to what the universe has to teach and how to become wise in those certain areas. Each of the energy centers are sort of a focus or a pathway, an exchange and a give of the energies of these different stages of the human life, these different dimensions, you might think. I read a quote recently from the messenger and the founder of Human Design. His name was Ra Uru Hu. He passed in 2013, I believe. And he said something, paraphrasing, something to the effect that the open centers are what we have always wanted to be. And I find that to be really encouraging and inspiring, especially when I am in a not self theme about my design or about a particular open center. And so a not self theme is essentially the antithesis of what is correct for us. For example, if you are a generator, your overall not self theme is to be dissatisfied or to be frustrated because your signature is satisfaction and frustration is your not self. Well, each of the centers of your body graph also have a specific not self theme. So I am a reflector, as I said. I have an open sacral, as do projectors and manifestors. And the open sacral not self theme is not knowing when enough is enough. Yes, amen. I have experienced that many, many times in my life, and possibly I may experience it on a daily level, even to some minor degree. Well, in addition to that, I am a reflector, and I love to talk about and really just notice what my energy works like as a reflector. Now, reflectors are 1% or less than 1% of the population, but if you are a reflector listening to this, I want to share with you, actually, I should say, or if you're a human design enthusiast of any kind, I want to share with you as well, that it is said that reflectors are the slowest energy type, meaning because it takes us a long time to make a decision for ourselves, and also we don't really have any way to initiate, and that we have no energy, no reliable energy resource in our design, that we don't have any inner authority, and that we just simply wait a lunar cycle at least in order to make a decision. But the perspective that I have and what I have noticed about my life, and I'm curious if any other reflectors could notice this about their life, that I actually do get initiated well in advance of a manifestation. So, for example, all of the jobs that I've had or careers that are aligned for me, proper careers that are aligned for me for whatever stage I was in life at the time. I really actually created them all in the sense that I had a download and a vision of what it was I wanted to do as a career or as that project. And then I started to talk to people about it, as we know reflectors do, to reflect onto others and see it come back to us and to be able to understand what it is that we think and feel about a certain topic. And then after a while, and while I was in that process, a lot of times I would be talking to people about it, and this has happened about, I think, 4 times. In that process, people be like, that's interesting. I don't think that exists. And it would take me between 2 and 3.5 years. And then in that process of having been initiated, basically by getting a download of some kind, being initiated by the neutrino field, talking about it, which I actually see as planting seeds of resonance, in addition to reflecting so that I can see what I think and feel about it. And then eventually it comes to the point where the field, yes, I mean the neutrino field, but I also just mean the field of human beings and everything that will be co-created in that process of whatever that subject, or for me, career is, then it will be time for it to begin. And it will begin by some generator energy and me talking to some projectors for a while to get their guidance. And it does usually seem to pop off, from what I can tell, with a manifester. But what's interesting is we say reflectors are slow energy types, but that's from the perspective of it being on the brink of manifestation. The manifester energy does seem to make an impact and it's go time, but the seed, the download was planted in me, the reflector, 2 or 3 years ago. So my perspective is that when it comes to the place of fruition of the bud bursting out of the soil, it's already started a while back. And as I was sharing this with some, actually my mentees, and one of them said, "Are you just a naturally patient person? Because I feel like that would drive me crazy to wait 2 or 3 years before something I really wanted to manifest to happen." And I mean, the thing is, I would say, I don't think so, because I definitely was feeling all the feels of it not happening in those processes. But on the other hand, I mean, I can't really know what someone else's experience would be in the waiting and in the spreading the seeds of resonance. What I think it is that to some degree, yes, I'm designed for that process. So it is correct for me. Does that mean that I handle it with grace and with patience? No, not necessarily. But having been in my human design experiment for a while, I do actually feel like I can be more patient. I have deconditioned. I realize that I can do my part and then everything else will come into alignment. I do have the experience with my experiment of knowing what it feels like when it is correct for me, and then allowing myself to be taken by the field of synchrony to the places and spaces, and to see if I can come present and love every step, every conversation, every single moment of the process, even if it means that it takes 2 or more years for me to see a physical manifestation of it. So that's what I think it is like for a reflector, that in fact we are initiated well in advance, that we go about spreading the seeds of resonance, and then when it gets close to physical manifestation, the other design types get in there and start to collaborate, and it's a really beautiful process. And so, with that, if you have open centers, you might feel some semblance of that. Maybe not to the full effect of my 2 to 3 year cycle of manifesting something big, but you may feel it in some other small ways, because I'm composed of all open centers. And if you have 1, 2, or 4 open centers, then it might function for that way for you in those specific areas. Tell me what you think about it. Experiment with it, contemplate it, and I hope that we can connect somehow on some level, because I believe we are all here to co-create in the ways that we are genuinely, accurately, divinely, in perfection designed. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.